morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever it is that you are watching this video. Welcome to our Global Media Studies Spring Film Festival 2021. My name is Mr. Clutario, a proud teacher of the Global Media Studies Magnet here at Grover Cleveland Charter High School. And if you were with us last semester for the Fall Film Festival, you'll know that tonight is going to be a very, very fun event. You're going to see a number of different media projects from our awesome students. We all know that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought a number of different challenges to our students, teachers, family communities alike. And yet our students were able to meet these challenges head on and with a strong conviction and resilience. So sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, enjoy the show.
At the beginning of this year, I felt defeated. Day after day, the same restless feeling. That's when I had enough. I dipped my brush in the reddest paint and dragged it across the empty canvas, a distraction in this year of no control, and that of which pushed me to grow.
Reflection. 2020 was a painful year for many of us, but it was also a year of self-growth. I learned to write my feelings down in a journal to cope with my emotions. I reflected upon things I could change to become a better version of myself. Journaling became my escape and gave me light amidst the chaos.
At the beginning of 2020, life was like a dream. I got to act in a movie, spend time with friends, and be free. Suddenly, COVID-19 hit, which forced everyone to quarantine. I was restricted from doing almost everything I loved. By the end of the year, I was in a terrible state mentally. I was happy to know it would be over soon.
It's something that I need you to really pay attention to. It's going to be a 200-pointer. And what this is going to be, it's for our American Gothic exercise. And so what you're going to be doing, we have several American... Okay, Snoky Dokie Artichoke, any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Anybody any questions? Claudia, do you have any questions? Noemi, Noemi, did you understand what I said about reading the stories and picking parts like that? Noemi, are you there? Angel, do you understand? Can anybody, maybe Elizabeth Chavez? Elizabeth, can you repeat back to me what I said about the assignment? Annabelle, maybe you can. Annabelle, maybe you can repeat back to me. Brooklyn, are you there? Kevin, are you there? Where are you? Jalissa? Where is everybody? Perla? Miriam, what about you? Do you understand the assignment? Christopher, do you understand the assignment? Earth to Natalie.
Sparks. In the darkness, there was light, a spark, waiting to be found, small and dim, yet still burning. Slowly but surely, with effort and determination, the flames ignited, and what once was a dull spark now is a blazing fire.
I can see, but I cannot reach. I can hear, but I cannot speak. The vast canyon between is dark and deep. The bridge is rickety and the boards creak. Beware the crumbling ledge on which I stand, for one rotten second would turn it to sand.
My life in 2020. To me, 2020 started off well, but later, when the lockdown started, that wasn't the case. Throughout the year, I was stuck in my room, stuck with the things in my house, and emotions and trash piling up. Both my emotions and the trash in my room were the same. Both can be taken out for a period of time, but both always come back. Oh, awesome, you're still there. Well, welcome back. I hope you're doing all right. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. We're doing all right? Yeah? You need a bit of a break? All right, if you need a break, go get a snack, use the restroom if you need to, do a little bit of freshening up if you need to. I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I hope you're enjoying the show. Please stick around. There's going to be a guest on the show. Really exciting to meet this personality, being, thing. We'll see you again in a little bit. All right, continue to enjoy.
My name is Jackie Henderson. I help the community by working for a nonprofit organization that puts music education back into schools that would otherwise not have arts programs. I was always in the arts. I actually grew up dancing and singing in junior high and in high school, and I was in the theater department. And so I always wanted to do the arts, but to have it be something that I did for fun. I feel like when people make something their career, it sometimes turns from being fun and entertaining to being a job. And I always just wanted it to be something fun on the side. So I never really wanted to pursue it as a career, but I always wanted it to be a part of my life. I was looking to make my next step in my career and knew that I wanted to get into the philanthropic space with my skill set to help somebody else out. And I've always felt that I wanted to give back and be able to do something for the community. And so this was a really great opportunity to use what I already learned in my previous career to continue paying it forward. Really wanted it to be somewhere where I could come in and be able to bring this unique skill set that I have from working at Food Network and working at HBO and doing national marketing and advertising, be able to use that for someone who could really benefit from it. That wasn't just going to make money for some big executives. We were actually going to make a difference in the world. My goal is to get people to know about us and to want to support us. So it goes to everybody. It's the foundations that we need to have partner with us financially so that we can keep going. It's definitely knowing that they can use this in their lives as a point of success. To know that a lot of children may struggle in school and not be doing well in math or do well in reading and they're not great at geography. They can be good at music, and to be good at anything in school makes you feel like you have a sense of accomplishment that you can move forward and get better at other things. I think it is overlooked as a elective course, and to me it's more essential than people would like to think that it is. It's shown in study after study to have academic benefits through increased math and reading scores, through increased attendance, just because they want to come to school and go to music class. And it also has transferable skills for building communities, building relationships, and things that are going to create next level community members want to contribute and give back to their community when they get out of school. I have to say, after this crazy year, it's making it through this crazy year and still having demand for our program. None of the schools that we partnered with wanted us to go. Just knowing that many people believe in what we do and want us to come to their schools is a huge accomplishment. There's so many different ways that people can help us out. We have volunteers come in to our office and help with administrative things. We do mailings a lot, so they can come in and help out with that. And we can also have volunteers come into the music classroom and assist our music teachers who always need support with a room full of children. So people can go to our website and there's a volunteer form available on there to populate, and we will get those responses. The website is www.etmla.org.
Shadow Night of the Moon. 2020 presents the tone of the moon as it brings out the brighter days I never looked forward to during a shallow year. As the past was reflecting towards me during the year, I had to face moments that felt lonely and unstoppable. But for the most part, I had a brighter future to look forward to in the upcoming years.
Closure. I stare at the sunset for hours at a time, remembering what life was like before you left. And as I watch the clouds pass, all I remember is the sound of your laugh. For when it comes time for the night to rain down with stars, I get the feeling that you're meant to be where you are. Then when my time down here is finally over, I'll finally come to have peace and closure.
She understood what she was doing was wrong. There was so much more to think and worry about. School, her family, her life, practically the whole world. Yet, she clung to that small device almost as if it were the last glimmer of hope because, in her eyes, it was her escapism.
The gruesome war had started over language, the freedom to speak a language. During the night, mothers cradled their children close and waited for the moment the frightening sirens would go off. And it started. Families ran into their hideouts, hands covering their ears from the deafening sounds of bombs and gunshots. Little Rita peeked out from under the mound of blankets and gazed at her visibly worried father. "Rita, can we go outside now?" Her father, Haroon, patted her head and asked her to cover herself with the blankets again. "Haroon, not yet. Stay under there. I will call you when it is safe to leave." It was the Liberation War of Bangladesh, at that time known as East Pakistan. Fighting against West Pakistan, now known as Pakistan, both countries had been together till 1971. After the bombing ceased, people slowly began crawling out of their underground hideouts. The sun was shining. Luckily, Haroon's house had been spared. Haroon's wife Sophia went inside with their young children following behind. "Haroon, I have work today. Please iron my shirt before I leave." Haroon slowly muttered before pulling a chair and sitting down, his head resting on his hand. "Sophia, are you sure it's safe? What if there's another air raid or they attack your office?" "Haroon, it will be fine. My assistant said we can work, and plus, we have the broadcast today. I cannot miss it." Haroon worked at the radio station a good distance away. The radio station was the only source of news about the war and notified the general public of war updates. He quickly got a bite and left the house for his weekly radio broadcast. The morning was quiet and uncanny. The streets were a mess from the air raid, and there were people who lost their homes and loved ones sitting on the sidewalk like crows on a tree branch. Haroon: "Good morning. Let's start right away and get the broadcast done," Haroon said to his co-workers, who sat across from each other in their dark office. They each had a mic in front of themselves and a sheet of paper containing the latest news they had to convey to the public. Jamal: "Why in such a hurry today, Haroon? Wife got you on a tight leash?" Everyone in the room lightly chuckled at his joke. Haroon: "Very funny, Jamal. The situation has been worsening. There's no saying if we'll even live to see tomorrow. The broadcast must go on. No time for jokes." Everyone nodded in agreement and got to work. The on-air sign flickered to life and the room went silent. Mahmoud: "Currently 9 a.m., 15th May 1971. Last night's air raid has damaged a lot of the North Tagas areas. Tonight we're expecting the Pakistani military's attack near Khulna, so stay on the lookout." They all sat quietly and read off of their scripts. The otherwise dark room was illuminated by the sign hanging above the entrance door. Haroon: "There might be rations available near Central Tak." The security guard of the radio station barged in, his eyebrows furrowed and his chest heaving as he panted. Security guard: "They're coming! They're here! We have to leave!" Time seemed to have slowed down. Panic was clear in everyone's eyes. Haroon: "Who is coming?" Security guard: "Pakistani military!" As soon as those words left the guard's mouth, everyone scurried off their seats and ran towards the stairs of the building. Shahid: "What about the broadcast?" one of Haroon's co-workers asked. Haroon: "Now is not the time. Quick, someone get down and start the car." In those days, owning a car was not something many could afford. Out of all 9 people, Haroon included, only one man had a car. Rafiq: "I'll go get the car out. You guys meet me at the front." Rafiq, the owner of the car, hurriedly sprinted down the stairs, leaving the rest behind. Once outside, they spotted the white car roaring to life. Before they could make it inside, the air raid sirens went off. Mahmoud: "An air raid? Right now?" They all squeezed themselves inside the car until only Haroon and Jamal were left standing outside. Haroon: There's only space for one more person. You can take it, Jamal. I will wait around for the car to come back." Jamal: "Absolutely not. You go ahead. I also left my belongings behind. I'll be fine." Rafiq: "Both of you just squeeze in. We have no time." Haroon: "Jamal, as your senior, I am demanding you to get inside this car right now." While Haroon was feigning bravery, his expression, shaking form, and the beads of sweat running down his face proved otherwise. Jamal quickly shoved Haroon inside the car without another word. Jamal: "Haroon, I do not wish to disobey you, but please just get in. Send the car back and I will be fine." Haroon could only watch with his mouth agape as Jamal gave a tight smile, with his lips quivering, and forcefully shut the door of the car. Rafiq blinks his tears away and pulls out of the driveway. Everyone looks away in shame as they are aware of what's to happen. Luckily, Haroon was able to go back to his family safe and sound. He continued his work as a broadcaster and engineer even after the war had ended. He would later find out that Jamal had been killed by the Pakistani military. Now, my grandfather Haroon is 83 years old, living in his house in Bangladesh. Stories of his life during the war had always been told to me growing up, but Jamal's story stuck with me my whole life. His sacrifice has made our family members now remember him with unbounded respect and appreciation.
Unfulfilled joy. As I give and give and give all my love and happiness, how am I able to fulfill my own? As I sit in the bottom of the pool, drowning, wondering when will I be able to receive the same amount of gratitude as I give.
The picture in this video is an Xbox. This Xbox helped me throughout this quarantine because it gave me something to do during these tough times. It kept me busy all day, and I am grateful for it, and it'll keep keeping me busy until this is all done.
A happy quarantine. As I lied on the couch feeling the warmth of my blanket, I glanced over to the antique clock to check the time. A loud beep came from the kitchen, and the soothing smell of the buttery popcorn found its way to my excited nose. The bowl was hot and burned my hands, but my mouth overcame that feeling as it was filled with anticipation. My mom turned on the TV, and I snuggled close to her as she held my hand tight with love.
Some of these stories served as reflections of the year that was 2020, and many students felt it necessary to examine their stories, examine their experiences despite all of the obstacles. Maybe our students' endeavors will inspire you to do the same. Here at GMS, we always like to say, discover your story. So, on with the festival. Let's discover some more.
Time. Time goes by really fast. You get lost in time while you work. When I'm in bed, time seems to stop.
"2020 has been like a bunch of garbage. Disgusting, smelly garbage. Nobody wanted it, nobody needed it, yet it still exists. And I believe it only exists to destroy beauty. The beauty of a year. A maskless year, a fun year. One I'd like to exist in. So you know what I did? I threw it out, because it's trash day, and I don't want or need 2020, and thank God it's gone."
I was like this blissful puppy, covered in silver armor, protected from the outside world, and free to roam inside my little paradise. Half of me is feeling a little blue about the casualties of 2020, and the other half is just enjoying the abnormalities of being in my paradise.
blocked by confusion. The path is right in front of me, but I have to deal with the questions first. Although I have accepted myself, there are still questions blocking me from me. How do I deal with them the same way I did before?
The blank white screen. I wake up in the morning to a white blank screen. It makes my eyes water and tear, that amazing machine. Although, despite the pain, it's a beautiful thing, giving connections to my loved ones. It lets me talk digitally to my virtual plus ones. That's why I'm thankful for this machine with some imperfection, the white blank screen that lets me send my online affection.
Life from the inside looking out. Any growth, just half viewed for the glass. Everything seen through these screens. Filtered, but never clear. Growing, but stuck. I feel like a tree.
Oh, what a cute dog. I guess Max really likes him. My name is Alex, by the way.
Hi, my name's Eleanor. This little guy's Toby. You live around here?
Yeah, I live right up the block and I walk him almost every day. I haven't seen you around.
Yeah, it's because we just got Toby a couple days ago. My mom's already obsessed with him.
I can see why. He's adorable. What are you listening to?
Oh, it's this band called The Rockers.
No way. I love that band. I literally saw them perform like last month, but I haven't found anyone that likes them.
Yeah, it's nice to find someone who listens to the same stuff.
Hey, I actually need to start heading home before my parents start bugging me a lot, but we should exchange phone numbers and text later.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Drink some water. It was hot outside. Hey, Eleanor, it's Alex from this morning.
Hey, Alex, what are you doing?
Doing homework. My dad just got home though.
Oh, nice. Is your mom still working then?
My mom passed away when I was young, so it's just me and my dad.
I'm sorry. My dad actually passed away too when I was young. I only have one photo with him. This is my dad.
Wait, hold on. There's no way that this is Eleanor's dad. There's literally no way.
Yeah, it's because we just got Toby a couple days ago. My mom's already obsessed with him.
Hello, Toby baby. Did you miss your mama? Hi, Toby.
Eleanor, don't forget to clean the kitchen before you go to your room.
Yes, Mother. Hey, Mom, Instead of cooking, can we go out to eat or even order something? I'm kind of tired today.
Why would I waste money on buying food when I have you to cook for me? Just get some stuff out of the fridge and figure it out.
Mom, I'm tired of doing everything around this house. Can't we just order out?
Why are you being so disrespectful today? I asked you to do something, so do it.
I'm not your servant. You can't keep treating me like this. I deserve better. I'm so sick of doing everything around this house.
I am your mother. You will do as I say. You always have and you always will. You're lucky I even love you. I'm disappointed in you. I thought I raised you better than this.
Eleanor, are you okay?
No. My mom just expects me to do everything while she sits around and does nothing. Sometimes I just wish my dad was here.
Eleanor, I actually have something to tell you.
What?
Remember that picture you sent of your dad?
Yeah?
I know him. He's alive. He's not dead.
What? You're crazy. My dad is dead. My mom told me he died when I was young.
No, I'm not crazy. I just talked to him. He's alive. Do you want me to tell you what happened?
Yes, of course I want to know what happened.
Look, I'll tell you what he said. Let me just read it off. He said that before you were born, they had a baby already. That the baby strangled itself on the cords of the blinds and there was nothing that he or your mom could do. After that, your mom went crazy and he said that she got more violent and depressed, and then they found out that they were gonna have you. He said that she was just too much for him to handle and he had to leave. That she wouldn't give him up to him, and he couldn't take it anymore, so he left. Do you believe me?
What? My dad is alive. I had an older sibling. This is ridiculous.
Hello? Eleanor? Damn it.
How could you lie to me? All these years you've been saying that he's dead when he's actually been alive? I know everything now, so don't you dare lie to me.
Sorry, Eleanor. I thought you would never find out.
So you were just never going to tell me? You were just going to let me keep thinking that my dad was dead?
It's all my fault. I could never have been a good mother. You were never to find out.
Mother, you're scaring me.
You were never supposed to find out. No one will ever leave me again.
Hello, Toby, baby. Did you miss your mama? Hi, Toby. Did you miss me, baby? That's a good boy, Toby. Good boy, Toby.
Oh, and Eleanor, don't forget to clean the kitchen before you go to your room.
Yes, Mother. Instead of cooking, can we go out to eat or even order something? I'm kind of tired today.
Why would I waste money on buying food when I have you to cook for me? Just get some stuff out of the fridge and figure it out.
How could you lie to me? All these years you've been saying that he's dead when he's actually been alive? I know everything now, so don't you dare lie to me.
I'm sorry, Eleanor. You were never supposed to find out. No one will ever leave me again.
Life in 2020. Life in 2020 was a bizarre and strange one. During this time, our lives changed to something we would never imagine. During this time, communication would change and normal conversations turned to rare occurrences. COVID would cause us to throw away traditional ways of communication and cause us to find new ways to communicate.
The Boy Behind the Window. 2020 was a rough year for us all. The lockdown began on the 13th of March, and we were all told it would only last 2 weeks, but that is clearly not the case. As the weeks went by, I started to realize how nice it was to be outdoors and hang out with people. And as I put my hand on the cold window, I thought to myself, when would this all be over? When can I go outside?
"2020. A year that was confusing, unexpected, scary, surreal, relentless, and unforgiving.
You are our leader. You have the power to fix some of our nation's biggest issues. You have the power to end wars and create tranquility. You represent each and every single one of us.
Rich and poor, we aren't demanding perfection. We demand to be seen, to be heard, to be loved and protected. At the end of the day, after all the bloodshed and injustices and suffering, all we want is empathy.
We need warmth in this dark and cold world, so we will leave you with our stories, our lives and pain, with our struggles and achievements, so that one day we get to heal all this bleeding and infected wounds. When it's our time to inherit the world, we will carry nothing but scars and empathy in our hearts.
We
are
GMS,
a global media studies magnet where students are given the opportunity to express themselves and break the barrier of language, which allows us to reach people all across the world.
This entire crisis has been one of the toughest challenges many people from America have faced, myself included. At the start of this pandemic, I was a hopeful person, thinking like, if the government handles this correctly, this could go away in the blink of an eye. But look at us now, 1 year into the pandemic, with spikes occurring in everything COVID related. And now I realize I couldn't have been more wrong. And businesses have been closing down left and right. This kind of saddens me because my family's bonding time came from these places. One of which was the Winnetka Pacific Theater. My family loved watching movies on the big screen, and it really brought us together, but, now it's kind of closed. Another place was Sauce and Beer, which was this Mexican restaurant, and sure, they have pickup. You could just go there, get some food, and bring it back home and eat it there, but it just doesn't bring the family together as it did when we were there in person.
Hopefully everything can get back to normal and we can add a normal, but even then for some, there won't be a normal because of the scars that this virus has left on us. Even if we didn't get infected, it still left us hurt on the inside.
My family had a very interesting experience with COVID. My grandpa got sick in Mexico, which means my parents had to go over and pick him up because he needed to go to a hospital. So once they picked him up and sent him to a hospital, they said that he did have COVID. So that meant my parents and my grandma were exposed, which means me and my brother, who stayed home, had an hour to pack everything into his car and leave because my parents and my grandma were going to quarantine here. Eventually, during that month, my dad and my grandma both had to get hospitalized. They both got out of the hospital a couple weeks later, but while staying at my aunt's house, my grandfather passed away. It was really hard because we couldn't see any of our family members, and we also couldn't see my grandfather because COVID. So it was really hard to say goodbye in like not be there with him, and it was just really hard for my grandma because she couldn't see her husband anymore.
This pandemic has caused me to lose one of my most precious family members, my grandpa. He was really important to our family. He would always bring everyone together, like host parties. He did everything, and COVID-19 just took him away. And we couldn't even visit him in the hospital because of these restrictions.
Me and my family have been more cautious when it came to visiting each other because we were not playing around when we knew a certain virus was running around infecting people. My parents and I have been living through quarantine as if nothing has ever changed, except the fact that school was now online and that both of my parents go to work.
I miss having a bad day at school and getting to hang out with my friends during lunch. I miss going out with my cousins, whether it be to the mall, the beach, or their house. I miss coming home after school. That was the best feeling in my opinion. Getting to feel that sense of relief and not having to worry about school anymore for a little while. I miss having somewhere to escape. My room used to be a place where I could go to relax and let loose. Now I wish that I could escape from my room. I want to go out and have a taste of freedom again.
When I have visited downtown LA, I have realized the X number of people I have seen out on the streets. This allowed me to dig deeper on the issue of homelessness. I have learned that the major causes of homelessness are lack of affordable housing, unemployment, poverty, mental illness, and lack of needed services according to the National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty.
Really, I'm thankful that my family still has the money to be able to bring food home because many people have been getting into poverty as a result of COVID. I've seen many homeless people throughout this entire pandemic carrying cardboard signs and hats with little money inside them. And even on the news, I've seen like countless stories of that just revolved around homeless people, and most consist of just people making their lives more miserable than it needs to. There's, these anti-homeless chairs already being put in use in like places in America, and it just pains me to see that these people are going through so much more than they already need to be going through.
Racism has been a huge deal, especially in the community of Hispanic and Latinos, and since I'm part of this community, it affects me as well. There's all this hate speech that gets thrown at us like, go back to your country or speak English in America. These words affect the way we feel, especially out in public, and it affects the younger generation of kids who come from immigrated parents. Racism isn't only in the Hispanic and Latino community. There's also the Asians and the Blacks that are affected by this as well.
This pandemic has caused a really big influx in hate crime against Asian Americans due to the fact that COVID started in Wuhan, China. And I think it's horrible.
The people that were camping at that site told us to get out. They were white, and they were getting angry at us, getting to the point where they were making racist comments to my family and relatives. It's like they thought that whites were better than us Asians. I felt hurt that we were being treated like this when everyone should be equal.
Last year, right before COVID, we went camping for my nephew's birthday, and our tire went out, so we had to go to a nearby gas station right by the beach, and my dad was working on the tire, and he was paying for it in the gas station, and my mom was just out, out, and an ICE officer came up to her and started basically interrogating her and just asking her a bunch of questions, and it was really weird for her 'cause she's like, I was born here, so there's no need for ICE to be there. And then when my dad came out, he kind of backed off, and I was like, oh, okay. But that was just one experience of my parents don't get treated the same because of their race. I guess growing up mixed has definitely showed me the inequalities that people of color face in today's society.
My dad has told me stories when he was younger that due to him being Hispanic, he would get called names. Some of my friends have also mentioned the same thing. It really angers me that there are even people like this out there. Like, how low do you have to stoop to make fun of something like that?
It's impacted me and my friends and my family as well. We get racially profiled just by going into an expensive store to look and shop. People look at us in disgust as if we're criminals.
The protests from last May and June demonstrate the intolerance that persists in the present day, and the means of which people are ready to fight for their rights and the safety of their fellow Americans. The police forces of the country, which are essential to the preservation of order, can become corrupt with this mindset and need to be dealt with. The forces which exist to protect us can turn and become the forces that bring us down.
Feeling neither happy nor sad, I am the empty sky inhabiting the above. No stars or clouds dwell upon me. Gray emptiness lingers inside. Every step taken steers towards nothing. Infinity leads to insanity, unstable and unpromising, like the future ahead.
The world we're in is dark. The world is broken, it's cold, it has cracks and shattered pieces, but the worst part is there's no empathy. No humanity, no love or warmth. This world was meant to shine, illuminate, and to be warm, yet this place we call our home is in a cold and hopeless state. Violence has been normalized, injustices occur on a daily basis, suffering has become a part of our normal routine. Humanity is at its lowest point and it's near extinction.
3 simple actions can save us all: listening, understanding, empathy. As soon as we start listening to one another, streaks of light start shining through those tiny crevices, which start going through large and rough cracks. Then eventually, it embraces the world entirely. Wars will end, peace will prevail, injustices will come into the light and be corrected.
Bloodshed will come to an end as empathy and understanding enters. This is our home, this is what we demand. For there's always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. Amanda Gorman.
He sailed a Confederate supply ship across the world to free himself from slavery. Worked for the Union Army during the Civil War. He was an African-American influence and even served in office.
I was born into slavery on the McKee plantation. My mom's name was Lydia Polite, and my father's name was, well, I don't know my father, but some people say he was John McKee, the owner of the plantation, or his son Henry. I remember I was accepted by the community and had some white friends.
When Smalls was 12, the McGee family moved to Charleston, and he started working as a day laborer on the docks to hopefully work up to be a sailor.
I started working as a rigger, and then a sailor. I married my wife, Hannah Jones, in 1856. We had one daughter and one son. My son died later from smallpox. He was a good kid and didn't deserve to die so young.
The Civil War had hit, and they were in need of workers. Smalls had no choice but to work for the South, so he was hired as a deckhand on the steamship, the Planter, which was a Confederate supply ship. It carried ammunition and guns to the Confederate soldiers.
I remember working tirelessly on the Planter. They made me work until my hands were bloody. I would clean up after everyone and do maintenance on the ship, all the dirty work. I knew there was one way out of this cruel slave work. I felt bad for my wife and kids. I knew when they got sold, I would never see them again.
He devoted his time to studying how to sail the ship and how to pass through the checkpoints. He observed what the crew did. On May 13th, 1862, he stole the planter and took his family, a crew, and some other enslaved people to freedom. He was able to navigate through the 6 checkpoints and take the boat to the Union ships on the other side of Charleston.
When I turned in the ship to the Union, along with the ammo and guns, I started to get recognized, along with a hefty $1,500 prize. See, the ship was filled with valuable information and Confederate plans that benefited the Union a lot. People started seeing me as a hero, and I got the recognition I deserved. The Union hired me on the planter, and I was the first African-American captain of a vessel in the U.S. service.
After the war, Smalls got work as a brigadier general in the South Carolina militia and bought the McGee house. He even hired some of the McGee family on the plantation because they were so desperate for work. He started a school for young black children, a general store, and a newspaper. His influence on the black community even got him involved in politics. Despite Small's limited education, he was very successful. After serving 3 years in prison for accepting a bribe in office, he took up work as a U.S. Customs collector. He spent his last years of his life living in Bedford with his second wife and died from natural causes. Robert Smalls was a big influence to the black community and proved that the African American race can be much more than slaves.
We have a very special guest with us tonight, Simon the Megabot, one of the stars of our films. Simon Simon, what was it like working on set with so many filmmakers at once? That must have been very challenging, but you know what? I think you really rose to the occasion. Great work. What was one of the highlights of working on set? Spicy. That's some insider scoop. Before we go, can we take a selfie real quick? Sure, awesome. All right. My students are gonna love this. All right, ready? All right, on with the show.
We have no idea what power is contained in our electronic devices. But Steve finds out.
Oh, I forgot to do that English homework.
But then he decided he was too tired, that he would just turn it in late. Steve goes back to watching TV. There is a popping noise. Steve turns around and squints at the computer. He gets up and crosses to the computer.
Warning, warning.
Steve was curious.
You must do your homework at once or you are responsible for the consequences.
Steve thought it was some kind of prank. Steve heads back to his bed.
Man, what a little, I'm not doing no homework. Got me tripping.
You will sit down right now and do your homework.
Steve was not going to be bullied. He ran outside to the fuse box, only tripping once over the dog. Steve continues to reach for the switch.
This was your last warning. I told you there will be consequences.
He puts his hand on the switch. Steve, with his hand on the switch, exchanged a dead stare with the robot, who was standing only 7 feet in front of him, said,
"Don't make me do it."
But the robot laughed and his speakers played an Old West song. And the robot said with a smirk,
"Do it."
Steve pulls the switch. At once, the music along with the robot shut down. Steve danced around in celebration on what he thought was a victory, until he heard the song playing again. The robot said to Steve, who was looking stunned,
You thought you can get rid of me that easily?
The robot whips out a robe speedily and rushes to Steve and ties him up and says,
"Wasn't it easier for you to finish your homework from the beginning?"
The robot set Steve down on a chair and commanded him,
"I will untie you now. If you try to run again, I will catch you. I will sit over you till you finish your homework."
Steve, frightened, did his homework while the robot sat behind him, watching. Steve looked everywhere in the room, but the robot was nowhere to be found. While Steve's mind is still processing what just happened, a message popped up again on his computer.
"If you decide not to do your homework again, I will be back, and next time I'm not going to be as nice."
Who's the editor? Whoever's the editor is gonna have a hard time doing this.
Look at my clock. The plants thrive as I walk. The molten flowers explode with color as I pass. And I'm looking through my magnifying glass. The smell may be so gracious, but the bugs that live around them make me so anxious.
The Bread Man. Breadman is the scarecrow I made to scare away the demons. He also goes by Babushka. I bought a tortilla blanket for middle school graduation so that I could dress up as bread for the ceremony, but then COVID happened. Since I still had the blanket, I made the Breadman. He scares away the demons. My mother hates him, but I love him. Find Kyle.
This past year was a roller coaster for Sarah. There were many downs, but at times there was happiness and positive moments. After 14 years of sharing a room with two of her siblings, she finally got her own space. She was glad to see her family was able to come together and get something done. During these times, she also got a dog, her first pet in fact, and every day he makes her smile. Even with all the bad things and the mess around you, one thing can make it all seem better.
My name is Viviana Vasquez. So what I do at my job site, I am a phlebotomy technician and I work at a hospital named Olivia Hospital. And in that hospital, what I do as a phlebotomy technician is that we take blood from patients and we go room to room to each patient that's there in the hospital taken care of, and we withdraw blood from them and then we send it over to the laboratory. And then the doctor gets the results within a couple of hours. Due to that is how the doctor knows what prescriptions to prescribe to the patients. So that is our job, to get those results out to the doctor before anything more critical can happen to the patient. The best part of being a phlebotomy technician is getting to help patients to get the results back on time and then get better and go back home to their families. My least favorite is that you can come in contact with a patient that's maybe having a very difficult time. You know, a lot of patients there are very ill. They can be in a very bad mood or just crying all the time after being diagnosed with a very bad type of situation. At the beginning, it was very hard to get in contact with patients. Just walking into the room and say, I'm here to take your blood. Once a patient hears that, it's like they become very scared and they don't want to deal with anything of that, especially if we come into a patient's room like at 4 a.m. when they're wide asleep. So a lot of patients, they don't really agree to it. So just getting to that point of just getting in that room and having a patient say, yes, that's fine, and extending their arm to us, that's like the best part of it all. It will just run very smooth while taking their blood. People benefit from my work because they become very grateful once I get in there and take their blood, because due to that, the benefits will be that the results will get right to the doctor, and then the doctor can diagnose them from there, give them medication, and just make the patient feel a lot better than they were. Okay, so our daily routine, there's times when we come in at 4 a.m. We start our routine by 5 a.m. We're already up on the floors in a patient's room. We go one by one with each patient and take the blood. Once after every 5 patients, we bring the blood down to the laboratory where the blood is processed. And the scientists there, they are the ones who process the test results. And then from there, the results get sent through the computer to the doctor. The doctor sees the results. And then from there, the doctor is the one who gives them medication after looking at the results. After COVID hit there in the hospital, we were very, very busy. We had a lot of patients coming in daily, just being diagnosed with COVID symptoms. Once the whole COVID situation hit there in the hospital, we still, as phlebotomists, had to come up to those patients' room. It was very difficult because once arriving to the room, we had to go into this small room there at the nurses' station where we had to gown up. We have to wear gloves, a gown, a special hat on our head, goggles, helmet. We would wear masks, special masks, because we were going into the COVID patients' rooms. So we were gonna be in contact with them at least like 3 feet away, because when we draw blood, we get very close to a patient. So it was very difficult. Right now, it's been a lot better because, COVID has been getting a lot better than it once was at the beginning, but it was very, very hard. It was very stressful for us too. Well, just, being healthy, just having patients be healthy and listen to taking their medications. So there won't be a point for a patient to go to the hospital and be seen in such a difficult situation.
"2020 was like a weed. The events that impacted my life grew and grew, taking away a part of my life. Each event was like a punch to the face, making my experience with 2020 painful. But weeds like dandelions grow until the wind blows them away. I'm hoping this year will blow away 2020's pain with something more uplifting."
Since we began quarantine and online school, I've been on the couch every day, even on my days off. No matter what day or time it was, I was always on the couch. I also assumed that a lot of kids my age would agree with me about the controller. When quarantine started, every weekend I'd be on video games. My friends and I would always get in a game and play for a while, and we had loads of fun. Of course, we took breaks and wanted to go outside each other, but we loved the fact that we could play video games.
A meaningful guitar. Ever since quarantine and COVID happened, I've been looking for a new hobby to start. So I laid in my bed one night and thought, why not start playing guitar? It's not a very fancy guitar, but it's a meaningful one. Because this is the first ever guitar that created a whole new me.
So that does it here at the Global Media Studies Spring Film Festival 2021. We are so thrilled that you could join us for this morning, afternoon, evening. For me and for all of us here at the Global Media Studies, we just want to say we are so incredibly proud of each of our students, of all of our families, of all of those individuals in our community. We know that this was a very trying school year, and yet we look forward to summer vacation. Get that rest, get that really all-important rest, because we're all going to need it when we come back here on Cleveland's campus. Have a great summer, and we'll see you soon.